everybody. I am Rashawn Warren, your host of See I Am Me, the Motivational Network. And today, we got a special guest that's going to pop on. We got Beverly Walker. She's going to talk to us, enlighten us, enamor us with her personality. And enough about that. Let's get this thing going. Come on in, Bev.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hey, Bev. How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, thanks for being on the show today. I'm really looking forward to interviewing you and hearing some of the things that you got to say. I'm interested in your energy. But before we get going, like, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, well, let's see. I've been about 23 years in the military, kind of been stationed all over Germany, Korea, all over stateside, finance by trade, currently doing military equal opportunity. So, for those that don't know, that's like discrimination, harassment complaints, things of that nature. I have pretty much done a slew of things within my career. I have two adult children, two fur babies, and numerous divorces under the belt for the 23-year career. You know, that's how it goes. And in my spare time, I like to refurbish furniture, go to like art shows, things of that nature. But all in all, just a normal person trying to live out here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a lot. So, thanks for the intro about yourself. So, today's show is about more than labels. We want to hear the raw truth about who you are. Um, First question. So, what excites you, Beverly?
What excites me? Oof. Very little. Actually, I'm old, so a lot of things excite me, like great kitchen appliances. No, what excites me lately is my transition, about to leave the military and what that looks like. Because I feel like I have been kind of trapped or at least pacing in time for at least several years, and just kind of redefining who I am and figuring out what I like. Because I think that the military, you get in such a rhythm of just doing the same thing, and it's kind of too easy. You just show up, do your job, and you get into this just I don't know, homeostasis, if you will. And so I'm kind of excited to just see like how I can spice it up a little bit, get out of that, to go to the next level. So
You've been.
that's exciting. It's terrifying though. I'm also terrified, so I might have I might spiral at some point, but not today. I'm going to be okay today.
Oh, yeah, you've been doing the military for a long time, and over your time in the military, what would you say has, I guess, been the most challenging up to this point?
Oof. So majority of my military career has been being a single mom. And so honestly, in reflection, when you start hitting this transition, you start looking at like the past and like how you got to where you are and kind of doing a lot of reflecting. And sometimes I can like think and I'm like, how did I make it this far? How did I make it this far? Because I had very few like good leaders and then a lot of pretty shit ones, or like they just didn't care like what you had going on. You were in the military for a reason. They didn't care what was outside of you coming to work. So I had to essentially just suck it up and make it happen. So there was a lot of times where like I just had to either stuff it down, or I used to call myself the closet crier. So anybody that's a mom or a single parent kind of knows what that means. You take your ass into the closet, you cry it out, or you do it in the shower. So then when you come out, you can put on the strong face for your kids so they don't know that you're like going through it. But yeah, I had many nights like that. So it was, and I think it's just too like a societal norm, right? Being a woman and trying to be successful and be a mother and be a good mother, because everybody, like the norm says you can't do both and you can't do both well. So having just like that unsaid weight on your shoulders of like trying to do well, make a career for yourself, but also not fail as a parent, was always a struggle. And so like you give up a lot. You have a lot of sacrifices when you're in the military, for time and events not spent with your kids. So I would say that's probably the one that like pulls on a little heartstring a little harder than others. So,
Yeah, I guess and being a single mom, trying to make all that stuff happen. I just listening to you right now. I go back. My mom was a single mom. She raised all five of us by herself, and it kind of goes back what you're saying. Trying to make sure stuff happen because you don't want to fail. And sometimes I saw my mom, she was in her feelings, but she was trying to make sure that we didn't see it because she was our mentor, she was our role model, and I think she understood that though the world sometimes is well, all the time is not fair to people, but you still got to get through those things that in which may challenge you. But I would say to you though, maybe you went into the closet to cry, maybe you were in the shower crying, but you definitely was able to pick it back up because the person who I see, I don't really see the crier person. I see the person that'll probably punch you out if things got real. But tell me, well, tell the world, like when you feel like, hey, you know what, I could, the emotions are rising right now. Um, what's your advice? What do you typically say to yourself or do in order to get you out of that particular situation?
oof. So honestly, I have been in survival mode for so long. I think I'm just like recently coming out of survival mode. And so, honestly, probably not healthy coping mechanisms. Probably wasn't healthy. Because I even told my daughter, I was like, hey, this is how I dealt with it, but do better than me, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, honestly, when I was going through it, like I just stuffed it down. Like, we kind of, I don't know, for me, I know I learned to compartmentalize, because I knew that if I let it fester to like rise to the top, then it would kind of just overcome me because I am emotional. I am very emotional, even though you don't pick that up, but I am very emotional. I'm a crier.
Mhm.
And so I used to stuff it down so much that I think like when I hit about like 30, 35, somewhere like that, I think my like nervous system just finally said I can't do it anymore. And then now I cry over the stupidest shit now. Like commercial come on, boo hooing. I cry at movies. So like my daughter is always like looking at me and looking at my face, and I'm like, stop. Like my best friend makes fun of me. She's like, oh, you're gonna cry. And I'm like, whatever. So I just let sit in the moment, and then you just have to really like focus in on like what your goals are, because I was always very goal oriented. I always had like an A through Z plan, because Murphy's law is always in effect. So if like one plan doesn't work, I always had a backup plan of what that looked like. In the military, we always call it COAs, right?
Mhm.
So I always had like, okay, what am I doing with this? And then I would always like outweigh like personal versus military, professional stuff, and what I wanted to accomplish, and just remind myself that I'm going to get through it, because there's always tomorrow, and I try to just be like every day is a new day. And so, I mean, you wake up and it's a fresh start. So, I mean, you can't beat it. So, yeah, sometimes you're in a situation that's prolonged, but just knowing that, you know, what do they say? Like rough seas don't make skilled sailors, right?
Mhm.
So you gotta weather the storm. And I mean, I always tell my daughter and my kids, I'm like, it builds character, right? It builds the adversity that you need, and resilience you need to get through things, is going through the stuff, and knowing that you can survive it and be okay. So I mean, because there was a time where, I mean, I would say probably from like specialist to like private to specialist, my life was a Jerry Springer episode. So, so it was bad. And like credit, like to shit, doing like pay advances. So I was like $600 in the hole. I couldn't even, this was before they even did those like deposits for military people where you
Mhm.
could get like your lights and stuff. Yeah, I didn't even have the money to turn on the gas in my house. So I'm like boiling water to give my son baths. I couldn't afford a washer and dryer. So I have a scrub. This is in the military, mind you. I have a scrub board washing my laundry and hanging it because I couldn't afford to go to a laundromat or get a washer and dryer because childcare was like a car note. So, but it's like I just made it work. And I got myself out of it. It was rough and probably had to do some things that I didn't want to do, like get a second job and sell plasma and, stuff like that. But I got through it. And so, yeah, is that probably like a trauma response now? Cause like I'm terrified of being broke ever again. But I know too, I survived it and I'm resourceful and I can get through it. So yeah, it was I'm glad I got through that portion of my life, but I was going through a lot personally though too, with my first marriage as well. So it kind of just exacerbated all of those other problems. So
Yeah, that's a
it was a hot mess.
that's a lot to unpack. Hey,
Yeah.
now that man, you unpacked a lot. I think the biggest thing that I could take from that is that like you're an overcomer. Like I guess it's just built within you, or I know you say you're surviving, and you say, "Oh, I'm just getting through it. I got to do what I got to do." But most people, once they enter into that realm of where things are not going right, they're failing, they're selling plasma, they got all this stuff going on, and it's hard for them to pick themselves back up. But evidently, you have, you talked about your earlier years inside the military. I don't think we mentioned it earlier, like right now, you're a sergeant major, so you went from those younger years experiencing all that stuff. And now you're at the highest enlisted rank that you can get. You going through those things, did that like determine how you treated soldiers or how you viewed people as you were coming up?
Oh yeah, 100%. So funny enough, because like once you deal with domestic violence personally, it's like you can see it a mile away. So I can pick up when someone's going through things like that. And plus, I'm an empath by nature, so I can read a lot of emotions before people say things, just within their mannerisms and body language and stuff like that. So, yeah, it definitely has. And I would say, like, too younger in my career, I used to never share my story because I thought that it was. I don't know. I felt like it was a vulnerability that I
Mhm.
didn't want to put out there. Um, and I realized as I got older and I guess just more mature, I think that more people need to know the struggles that you go through, to know that like everybody's going through things, whether, I mean, it can be catastrophic to you and not so much to me, but everybody, like, however anybody's experiencing it and what intensity that they're experiencing it at. But yeah, it makes me want to peel the onion on people's problems a little bit more. But two, it's also, you can't help those that don't want to be helped.
Yeah, yeah.
Because again, it's, you have to want to come out of the problem. And I can give you all the tips and tricks and I can lead you to the water, but I can't make you drink. And so that I would say is the most frustrating part, is in helping people when they're going through problems and stuff, is helping them, seeing it, identifying it, giving them the tools and the methods to, start digging themselves out, but they just kind of want to stay there. Or
Mhm.
maybe they're just so used to it because too, you got to go back to people's childhoods too, right? Because
Mhm.
I've had people in my units where chaos just follows them everywhere. And I'm like, like I always have the hard conversations with people of like, hey, like maybe you need to have a conversation with yourself in the mirror of like maybe it's not everybody else, maybe it's me, because when you go to when you go to different places and you're having the exact same problems, like you got to do some reflection of like, what are you doing?
So,
How are you contributing to the problem?
so do you think that, like, so you say you notice people who have problems, and some people they just have that proverbial rain cloud that's following them from place to place. You, do you think it's maybe that individuals just don't know how to pick themselves up, or like some people they have that defeatist personality, or they just like fall into their self-fulfilling prophecy. They're like, hey, this happened to me here, why wouldn't it happen to me at the next place? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that that is. I mean, it goes kind of to like the broken windows theory, things of that nature. If whatever is going on in your area is it looks bad or is bad, you're going to continue to perpetuate that
Mhm.
behavior.
Yeah.
But also, like I was saying, like the having a background. If you have a background that was chaotic, and then you create chaos because you don't know how to sit in the calm.
Mm.
So I think sometimes people create the environment for themselves, and through self-reflection, I kind of figured that out about myself. Is because growing up, I wouldn't say had a bad life, but I was adopted by my grandparents, and they're like traditional era, so like 1932, 1935 born,
Mhm.
and so they had their own generational trauma that they decided to mess up two generations with.
Here, you get some of this too.
Yeah, so it's like, and just seeing the dynamic that I had with essentially like my mom, and then going to my first marriage, I realized I went kind of from like controlling to controlling.
Mm.
And but it was just a different dynamic dichotomy of relationship. And it's like you have to really kind of like look inward and be like, okay, like why was I drawn to this? And it was because I was used to that kind of behavior and things of that nature. So
Mm.
um and then trying to correct it in yourself.
So,
So I mean, I'm still a work in progress because my personal life is hashtag my personal life is still a hot mess.
well, well, okay, okay. So I'm looking at it like this, right? So you're going through a lot of things. Um, from what you're saying right now, you're going through some generational things, some things that you viewed, and then you're kind of like, hey, man, shoot, fell in the same thing I was trying to stay out of. So, and you had your first child when you were 17.
Yes.
So like with all of those things that went on beforehand and what you just explained, so like what did you think when you had your child, when you said like, God dang, I'm 17 and well I'm 16 and I'm pregnant and I got this baby coming.
Yeah. I would say, have you ever had your life flash before your eyes? That was definitely what happened. And then while it's all like rolodexing through my mind of like what I wanted to do, because like I said, like I was in high school during that, I was in like the senior year of high school during that time. And so it was like I was on track to get my cosmetology license, graduate. I wanted to go to New York and do hair in the East Village with all the weirdos and freaks. And that's like, that was my game plan, right? And then it's like I pissed on like five of those fucking sticks because like when you're spiraling, you're like, these are wrong. These must be expired.
This thing ain't working. Somebody give me one that's working.
So yeah, like give me some good pee because this isn't working. This isn't my life right now. And so yeah, I freaked out. Like, and then I was like, oh shit, I have to tell my mother. And mind you, my bio mom had two children that she gave up for adoption before they even had names, and she kept me and my sister, but then lost us to the state. And so it's like I'm repeating patterns. And so like of course like 17-year-old me freaks the fuck out and was like, I cannot tell my mother this, right? It's gonna, all hell's gonna break loose. And so I actually scheduled an abortion appointment. Um, had it scheduled, and I had made up a story that I was going to go to Dallas or Austin or wherever to go shopping for the weekend. And yeah, weird thing is when I'm pregnant, I have premonitions of my kids. And so, like, they come to me in dreams. I know that sounds kooky as shit, but they come to me in dreams, and both kids did. And so, yeah, so I saw his little
Mm.
hands, his little feet, his curly black hair, and like, I couldn't do it. And so they didn't call me, I didn't call them.
Yeah.
And then I had to tell my mother, and that was a shit show. And of course, like, I was every name in the book, and you're just like your mother, and you've ruined your life. You're not going to amount to shit now. So yeah, it was all of that. So I pretty much was like ostracized from my family for about, I would say, like 3 years, 3 solid years. I stopped talking to my family after that because I shortly left and moved in with a good old baby daddy at the time, and his parents, and yeah, stopped talking to them for a good 3 years. About
So after all that stuff is happening, what made you say, you know what, I got this baby. This little hiccup is not going to define my life. So,
um really it was I think it was always in me. Because I'm very spiteful and I love when people tell me I can't do something because I'm gonna prove you wrong. And so I was doing hair. I was doing the hair in Killeen Mall at Regis Salon, and there was a lady that I worked with. Her name was Pat, but she was 60. She was 67 years old, and she had started doing hair when I started doing hair. And I love the lady to death. She was like a grandmother to me while I worked there. But like, I was like, I don't want that to be my life. You know, like I want more in life, right? Like, which nothing's wrong. Like, doing hair is great, but it sucks when that is your primary. So, because hair today was not hair 24 years ago. You know, like
yeah.
people weren't doing all the things. Like, hair has evolved in those 24 years. You know, so yeah, I didn't want to do that. And I knew I still wanted to go to college and things of like of that nature. So I wasn't gonna be able to do that on a hairstylist salary during that time. Plus being in an abusive relationship, I was like, I gotta get away from this dude, right?
Mhm.
So the recruiter office was like in the perimeter of the mall. And so I tried to go to the Air Force first, but fuck you, Air Force. So so I joined the army, and yeah, and so I could make sure that I could do all of the things that I wanted to do. And I was joining with the mindset, I'm just going to do 4 years. It's going to be my stepping stone. I'm going to get, my Montgomery GI Bill back then,
Yeah.
and be able to go to college and try to, make a life for myself.
Yeah, after I think your story is like amazing and intriguing. In fact, so when you like, hey, you know what, I'm going through all this crap, man. I got this baby. My folks don't want me. They putting me down. I'm pretty sure you was absorbing some of that stuff. I know we all say we don't, but I'm pretty sure you were absorbing some of that stuff. And then you're like, well, I guess I'm gonna move in with the baby daddy. I don't know what's going on over there, but I got to do it. And then you're like, well, I want to do the hair, but I just don't want to live like that. And was there a point to yourself when you like thought to yourself like, well, I got to get something going, but you know what? I don't think I'm a victim in all this. I don't think I have to be a victim. Did you ever think like that?
No, honestly, no, because I mean, really, it took me a long time to realize that I was in a domestic violence situation because
Mm.
a lot of times people always correlate domestic violence with black eyes and broken ribs and trips to the ER and things of that nature. But it always starts subtle, and it always starts with, like throwing things near you and then throwing things at you and then swinging and it's swinging towards you, you know, things of that nature. So it took me a long time, because to just knowing like the cycle of abuse, and like the emotional psychological portion of it as well, being told that you're a piece of shit and you're not worth anything, and you know, just that, it kind of puts you in a really fucked up headspace. And so a lot of people, when I tell them that that was my first relationship, they're like, oh, I would have never thought, because of who I am today. And it's like, you know, like I was a 17-year-old hopeless romantic, and, you know, thought there was true love, and thought that, like, you know, whoever you're with, like if they really cared about you, like none of that stuff would happen. So um I was kind of in like disbelief, and then too just kind of trapped in that situation of like I didn't know how, like I knew I wanted out, but I didn't know how to get out. And I just looked at the military as an avenue. But really it kind of culminated when I got to Fort Sill. Fort Sill was my second duty station, and mind you, this guy had like fucked up my finances so bad. Like, you know, I don't even know how low your credit score can go, but that bitch was probably a zero, uh, and had like a car repossessed, everything like that. But I was like 8 months pregnant with my daughter, and he was like living with me at the time. I had sent my son to his grandparent or to his parents' house because like I just couldn't afford to feed us, because like I said, my finances were just so fucked up. And he wasn't helping, he wasn't working, he was just running up bills, eating food, and that's it. And so this dude, he had ripped the phone off the wall, and I couldn't get from like the front door to the back door quick enough to get out, and because I was fat and pregnant. And and so I had grabbed like my keys, I think like my phone, my wallet, because he used to always steal my money anytime he was pissed at me. And I had this boot knife my uncle had made me, and I went and locked myself in the bathroom. And he had punched a hole in the bedroom door, got it open, and then the bathroom door didn't lock very well. And so he went like this. I thought he was going to punch me in my face. So I hunkered, and he starts digging through my lap to grab whatever is in my lap. And I think during that time, he might have scratched himself on the knife, whatever. Honestly, a lot of my memory is like blacked out, so I don't remember everything. But at some point I got out of the house, and like a friend picked me up, and I guess he called the cops when I was gone. And so, you know, during this time, I'm a high functioning soldier. Like I'm doing everything at work. I'm going to boards, winning boards. I'm just, you know, doing everything. And yeah, then my sergeant major gets a call from detectives downtown Lawton, Oklahoma, that I'm pending felony charges, assault with a deadly weapon. And And I would tell you that I was so emotionally numb during that time. I laugh through everything. And so I might have tears in my eyes, but I'm laughing, you know? And I remember she came down and she was like, yeah, she was like, so, because I worked at DFAS a lot and during that time, and we worked in cubicles. So she came down and she was like, yeah, so we got to go downtown. Um, you know, you're pending assault charges, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right. You know, like my attitude was like, okay, what else is gonna happen? You know, like all right. And she took me down there. I don't even remember the drive or anything, but I do remember once I got to the detective, he like reads me my rights. And mind you, he could see that I'm like pregnant. And he reads me my rights, tells me whatever I'm my charges that I'm pending. And very probably psychotically and calmly, I was like, can I see the photos? And he's like, what? And I was like, well, you said assault with a deadly weapon. Can I see the photos? There has to be photos, right? And so his desk was a fucking shit show. So he's like moving papers, picking them up, rustling them around. He looks, and then he's like, it says it was insufficient for a photo. And like, again, very neurotically, I leaned forward and I said, if I had have done it, I would have made it fucking count. And he was like,
All right then.
oh, well, okay.
Back up in here.
Uh, And I was just like, and that was like the last I heard of it. But honestly,
Mhm.
that command team, it was a Colonel Bennett and Sergeant Major Deborah Adams is like when I was going through that, they were able to get me emergency. I had to go to the barracks first, of course, but they got me emergency housing on posts and then helped me go get my stuff from the house and told him, hey, you got 2 weeks to get out, like da da da, whatever. And I remember that Sergeant Major, when she went over to the house, because mind you, I had had a car repossessed. And so we had a truck that was coming out of my paycheck and it was supposed to be his, but he wasn't paying for it. And so she was like, she's taking the truck. And he was like, I'm paying for it. She's like, well, her LES says otherwise. You know, she stood her ground. And she was just like, so we packed up my stuff, got it out, and she rode back to the office with me. And I remember driving my truck. And I can see her out of my peripheral just shaking her head. And I'm just like, I'm just like ashamed because that was like the thing is like I didn't want anybody to know what the fuck was going on in my personal life as long as like my
Yeah.
professional life was good, you know? And so I was just like so embarrassed that people were involved, right? And I'm like sitting there, I'm just like bracing for impact of whatever she's gonna say. And she's shaking her head and she's
You
like,
my
honey,
sweetheart.
she's like, where the fuck did you meet this guy? And I was like, high school, you know? And she was just like, yeah, I was like, if you can call it that, right? And I was just like, and then she was just like, you have to get the fuck away from him. And I was like, I know, but I was like so broke I couldn't even fucking file for divorce. And we get back to the office parking lot. She gets out, hops out of my truck, and she dumps her pockets on my front seat. So whatever money she had in her pockets, she throws it on the front seat. And she's like, honey, she's like, this is all the money I had. She's like, if I had more in my pockets right now, I'd give it to you. She's like, go get settled in the barracks, you know, take care of yourself. And she's like, we'll see you back tomorrow. What? And and honestly, that compassion, like I don't know how I made it through that portion of my life because it was so chaotic without the support of those individuals. And so honestly, like when I became an E6, I found her because she had retired, of course, by that time, but she was working at DFAS Indianapolis. And I called her. I found her on Global, called her, and I was like, I don't know if you remember me, but I just have to tell you how much that really meant to me during that time, such a crucial time in my life, because I don't think I would have made it this far. And so, always, always very grateful for her during that time. So, I definitely keep that in mind as a leader in the military now is just, you know, we
Mhm.
always talk about this fucking trigger word of empathy, empathy, empathy. Well, empathy is not a flower that grows in everybody's garden. But the way I look at empathy, you know, is putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. Well, great. I can put myself in your shoes all day, every day, but what are we going to do about it? And I feel like compassion is where you extend the hand and help them out, you know, and that's what I
Yeah.
needed at the time. And I'm so grateful that I had somebody there because it was it was crazy. It was crazy times.
It sounds like you know, leadership may have just good leadership may have just saved your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Gave you, I guess somebody was put into your life or your path at the right time. That gave you the opportunity to think differently. You know, the next question I was going to ask you was going to be tied into, you know, like what has the Army done in order to help um, pull you forward? But that seems like one of those things that somebody was able to step outside the uniform for a little bit, or maybe they were in the uniform and say, "Hey, you know what? This individual really needs our help." Because I honestly believe a lot of people are experiencing some of the things that you're experiencing, and they don't have anybody to turn to. They watch how people act on a daily basis. They watch how they talk about other people or how they treat other people, and then they don't. Maybe that was a person that they wanted to go to, and then now that person just totally took themselves out of the loop because of their daily action. So you said For you, what does rising in spite of look like? So things happen, you it's going down, not the way you wanted to go, but you're like, hey, you know what? I'm in this situation right now, even though it's happening. I can still do it. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, that's really again those like small goals, right? Like I just used to always make tiny measurable goals, and I know that sounds like so like superficial or whatever, but like honestly, it was the reality is I needed something that I could say was like done and I was moving forward. And so even if it was like the tiniest thing of paying off a bill or, you know, getting a degree or, just completing one class, it's like I just always needed to know that I was moving forward. And that's why I always had like an A through Z plan. But now I think it's more holistic. Cause like I said, I feel like I'm just now coming out of like the survival mode aspect of it through
Just now, you feel like you just now coming up out?
yeah, well, yeah, because I've been married a couple other times, so yeah,
A couple of other times.
they they haven't been that bad, but they haven't been that great either. Anyways, they get better, but just still bad.
Okay, I can buy it. I guess.
See, look, I'm making progress.
Just keep moving down the path, young lady. You got it. You got this.
Yeah. Well, I've given up. But no, it's just honestly making sure that like whatever your measure of success, because measure of success looks different to everybody else. Because like I've listened to all the shit that you do, and I'm like, oh my god, that makes me so tired. And I'm like, when do you have time? When do you sleep? Because like I think back to when I was on like a hard ass grind when I was younger, and I'm like, I don't know how I did that because motherfucker's tired these days. But I just didn't, I guess I forewent sleeping a lot of the times. But um, I would just say making sure like you know what success looks like to you, and figuring that out and where you want to
Mm,
be. And I've always been about a 5 year plan and what that looks like. And so being able to visualize it, write it out, have a plan, and then take those little steps. That's what I've always kind of lived by, because otherwise, I feel like I'm standing in the middle of a room and it's just, you can just think of a tornado of things like surrounding me. And that's how I felt a lot of the times and just like every day. So being able to solidify it into a plan is what really helped me get to where I wanted to be. And then also not letting people say fucking no. I was listening to a Simon Sinek TED talk or recording or whatever. And he said there's two types of people, right? And it's the people that look at the obstacle or look at the thing that prevents them to get from
mhm,
getting, they look at the thing that prevents them from getting to where they want to be. And then there's other people that just see where they want to
mhm.
be. So I can either focus on like all the noise and how I'm not going to do anything, or I can just focus my eyesight on where I want to be. And it doesn't mean I have to do it the same way that everybody else. I don't have to take the same path. My path doesn't have to be straight. A lot of times people are upset because their path isn't linear. Well, guess what? Life happens, right? So sometimes it gets derailed and that's okay. And just being able to, get back on and figure out how you're going to get there, because it doesn't matter how you get there. It just matters that you get there. So,
Yeah, I like what you said. What Simon Sinek said. Like most people focus on the negative thing, because if you focus on the negative thing, that's what's in your mind. You know, if you focus on the win or what you perceive to be the win, you flood your mind with the possibility of success. Um, Thinking about that right now, like, is there ever a time that you kind of go back to those feelings and you're like, man, I don't feel like people see me. I feel like I'm quasi invisible right now.
um, I don't know about quasi invisible per se. Um, I would say dynamics of relationships. So like I have a very close knit circle of people. Like my circle of trust is very small. So and so like they sign a they sign a contract that they don't even know that they're signing with me. It's an invisible contract of like, it's a loyalty contract, right? It's a hey, I'm gonna show up no matter if I feel like shit. I'm showing up for you, and how those people show up, because that's how I am, and I kind of expect the same thing. And so I would say like I do have ebbs and flows, right? Because like I am not Miss Positivity. I'm probably like I'm so glad people can't read my thoughts. I think majority of the time I'm a Debbie Downer, honestly, but it's just part of my charm. Um, and I am like my own worst critic, honestly. So I have like it's a lot of look, we fight. And so, but honestly, lately it's just been really like the reflection of like what is a true sound relationship, and I mean that in the aspect of friendships and things of that nature, and like people just showing up for me, not so much me being visible or invisible. It's just like, do I have people that I know I can count on when I do need them? And I think that that's more important, because I've never been the person that needs to be seen. Um, I've never been that type of person, because like I'm just gonna do me. Like, look, my check clears on the 1st and the 15th. Like, and if you ain't 3Fing me, I really don't give a fuck. So it's like it's like I don't care. I give zero fucks. So I'm cool with you not seeing me. But yeah, it's more so the relationships I have, and whether or not they show up for me when I need them. That's what's more important for me. So
So, but now you're in that position to where like you're helping other people. You've been through all this stuff. You've seen it happen. You know what right. I hope you know what right looks like at this point in the game. But what does it truly mean now that you're on the other end and you're seeing people who need you?
I'm always like anybody that comes to me for help. I'm always like I will always bend over backwards to help people. Like I want to see people do well, and I'm not an information hoarder. I like it's not about me. It's like it's really like I just want everybody to live their best life and hit their like full potential, and things of that nature. So like however I can help. The only bad part is a lot of people don't come to me because apparently I got this fucked up face, and people are like, you're kind of intimidating. Because I remember someone said that too.
I don't know who that could be. I would not be around anyone who talks like that.
Someone was like, "You look mad," and I was like, "I don't know. That's just my face. I was born like this. I don't know." But I mean, like that is like I would say a lot of the times people don't approach me because of my face. But it's crazy. It's crazy though. But because like I would help anybody,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? And then, you know, you can only tell people so much that like you'll help them.
Mhm.
And again, like I said, I'm not going to run after somebody to help them, but I just make it known that I'm here,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
and will be either a listening ear or whatever, and like you can call me anytime, like because again like we fight our own demons, and it's mostly here.
Yeah.
It's not really here. And so like everything around us can be going phenomenal, but in here, like I always say, like me myself and I, like this is my worst enemy, is my mind. And so it's like just knowing that you can have somebody to like call anytime. But I would say like my group, my two NCOs that I have, I mean, we are a tight knit group. It's funny because like one of them, I was telling you this the other day, but one of them, like dad voiced me the other day because he was worried. And I mean, I thought it was funny at the time, but then it like made me take a pause, and I was like, oh, they really care.
Mhm.
Like they really care. They thought They thought Sergeant Major Walker was MIA and might be like in a body bag. And they were concerned, and it came out when he was like telling me, like talking to me, because I was like laughing at first, because again I laugh at everything, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, you're like really serious right now. But I know that,
Oh, you really care about me, huh?
yeah, but I know that that care is I know that care is mutual, because I take care of them and they make sure that I'm taken care of as well. So, um, and I love that I have the team I have too, because it's a great like send out. I couldn't have asked for a better team, honestly. So, but yeah, I'm always, I'm always a phone call away or whatever, but yeah. But dude, don't come to me if you don't want the hard, uncut truth, because I will tell you like it is, and I'm not gonna tell you what the fuck you want to hear.
Yeah. So you in a conversation with you, you expressed that you don't want to be defined by labels, right? So you know, at your core, who is Beverly Walker?
So I would like to go off of my morals and my character. I want people to remember me from that, right? And like I would say, my character strengths is my authenticity, my humor,
Mhm.
and really like my reliability. Um, and so
Yeah.
that's what I want people to remember me as. And I mean, like, you can look at all my evaluations, it's like candor, candor, candor. Yep, because the only person I know how to be is me, and
Hmm.
you know what you're gonna get, because it doesn't change. And I don't sugarcoat things. I don't tell you what you want to hear. Um, and I think that I think a lot of I think a lot of times nowadays it's like everybody wants to be nice as a social politeness. And so everybody wants to sugarcoat things and tell people what they want to hear, or like prance around the truth. And honestly, I feel like the world needs more truths, more hard, raw
Yeah.
truths of,
Yeah.
because I think people lack a lot of self reflection, honestly. And if you can't tell yourself the truth, I mean, we have to be able to hold each other accountable at the end of the day.
Well, they say the worst reflection is self-reflection, because not many people are willing to say negative things about themselves. I heard this quote one time, and it said, "All of us are self-made, but only the successful of us are willing to admit it." So meaning that those people who went down a crazy path and wasn't able to pick themselves back up, they always say, "Well, not my bad. Somebody else made this happen to me." So I have a profound question for you. So, so when the uniform is removed, when the uniform is off, what aspect of yourself is going to remain? You know, who you going to be?
Oh, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, so I don't know. But honestly, I'm still gonna be Bev. Because at the end of
Mhm.
the day, I don't think I've ever let my uniform define who I am.
I like that.
And so I mean, like, people are always like, "Oh, like, how is it? What's it like?" And I'm like, "It's a job." You know what I mean? Like, it pays my bills.
Mhm.
But it really doesn't define like me as a being. And I mean, I got it. Like, I've been doing this for 23 years, and there is like a whole socialization process. So we're all like indoctrinated. So I mean, like, a lot of my diction and things of that nature, you're gonna hear like acronyms and tracking and you know stuff like that. But at the at the core of me, I'm still who I am, who I always will be. Um, I mean, I think I've gotten a little bit rougher around the edges
Got a little bit rougher. Lord.
because like when I was younger, I was shy. Like I didn't speak my mind. I would kind of let you just run over me.
You?
Yeah, and so now, just through life experience, it's like I'm gonna tell you how it is. I'm gonna tell you what I feel, what I think, And either you like it, you don't. Again, I don't really care, because that's how I want people to come at me too. It's funny. I don't trust leaders that don't cuss because I feel like they're hiding something. I feel like they're hiding something because I guarantee you, if they stub their toe on their fucking coffee table, they're gonna say the F word. I guarantee you
So that means you don't trust me
it.
because I don't be cussing.
I mean, some people don't have to cuss if they got stature and me mugging. Uh, but too, I mean, like, I've always felt like people tend to like hide things a lot of
Hmm.
times. So again, it just kind of goes to being authentic. And so when they don't cuss, they also pussyfoot around shit.
Hmm.
And so that's what I don't like, is just be real upfront with me because I can handle it. You know what I mean? Like, you can say whatever you want, just don't put your hands on me, and we're good to go.
So with all that, like, so what do you think is the common misconception people have about you?
That I'm a fighter. People think I like, look, I think it was on a movie. They say, "What's in this?" Nothing. All right. What is in a fist? Nothing, right? So like, but I have a silver tongue, so I can make you feel this big real
Mhm.
quick. Um and so so I think that that's always gotten me out of having to use my fists. But yeah, like everybody always thinks that like they're like, "Oh, you must fight. You must be thrown down." Like like nah, man, like what? Like, have you ever been hit in your face? That shit isn't fun. Like, it makes your eyes water. Like, you're just like, hell no. Plus, I'm already medium ugly. I don't need them breaking my fucking nose and shit. And I like all my teeth. All right. So, no fights. No fights here. But yeah, that's normally the misconception of me, is that I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm an OG, but I will fight if I have to fight. But it's just, I'm too grown for fighting.
All right. So hey, so we're gonna get ready to wrap this thing up. But I still got a few questions for you. So like I know we talked a little bit about it already, but this next chapter is coming up. I mean, you almost there. One ball, then bam, you out the door. You to the house. So what is it gonna require for you to like say, hey, you know what? You know, thinking back on everything you've done thus far, to say, you know what, this thing is gone, and I got this.
Oof. I shit, I don't know yet. Honestly, to be frankly honest, I don't know yet because right, there's a lot of question marks to the future. Cuz again, it's all like on timelines and things, like you can't submit certain things before a certain time frames, and so there is still a lot of gray area, and it that's the part that unnerves me, I would say, is like I never like ambiguity, and especially in my professional life. But I mean, honestly, I'm terrified, but more excited than being terrified. And so, knowing myself, I know some of the mechanisms I just need to put in place so I don't spiral at some point. But I have a lot of avenues that I'm looking at possibly pursuing, and
Mhm.
it's kind of like the curse of having so many options. You don't know what options to go.
Yeah.
And with my kids being grown and not really being tied to anything, it's like kind of like the world is my oyster. So I'm between like going and being a boss bitch of a corporate world to like having dreads and never wearing shoes again. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's probably going to be somewhere in between.
Mhm.
Just because like I just know I want to do something that I'm passionate about, that I enjoy doing. Because I always think that when people retire, especially after the military, they don't take the time to. Everybody always calls it a transition. I think it needs to be more of a reset, like turn it
Mhm.
off
Turn off.
and then turn it back on.
Mhm.
Because a transition means you're fluid and you're still going, right?
Yeah.
And I want the Atari to be turned off Put the cartridge back in.
Mhm. Good to go.
And so
Mhm.
yeah, good to go. Because I really want to see what reinvention looks like for me. And I don't know if that's going to be school, but I'm looking at abroad options, stateside options, and I'm just excited though. So it'll be space and opportunity, man. Is where it's going to take me.
So, last thing I'm gonna ask you today: um, when this show is played, what is that one thing that you hope the people that's out there listening or watching get from it?
Um, honestly, I just hope that people realize that you can still have adversity in your life, and it doesn't even matter at what juncture in your life, whether you're young, old, whatever. You can get through it and still get to where you want to be, and not have to forego any of yourself. So I think a lot of people tend to lose themselves when they're going through or
Mhm.
have gone through things. And you can still remain whole and get through it. So, um, yeah, that's really it.
Um, is if somebody's out there and say, "Hey, man, I want to get a hold of that Beverly Walker," you got a like a email or a pager or something that people can get a hold of you.
Pager.
I don't know.
I wasn't that cool back then. You said you had a pager. I didn't have a pager.
I had a pager.
I had a quarter.
I had a pager in my pocket. 911.
I wasn't that cool. Yeah, so you can hit me up at bwalker underscore tx at yahoo.com. I know Yahoo is still old, but whatever, I'm old. So yeah, or you can find me on Instagram. It's Tank Destroy Her, so it's my old derby name. And Destroy Her is DESTROHER. Play on words.
Mhm.
Anyways.
I like it. I like it. Hey, Barry, thanks for coming on today. I really appreciate you sharing your story, and I appreciate your energy and your realness.
Yeah.
And with that being said, hey, I am the host of CIME, Rashawn Warren, and we're out of here for today.
Listen.